Shalom Alechem, Assalamu Alaikum, Irini Mazisu, Pax Vobiscum, peace be unto you. This is 1 Samuel chapter 22, 23 verses. In verse 2, we see here troubled in mind, gathered to David, versus discontented. Okay, the Hebrew of this expression, troubled in mind, is mara nefesh, which means pain of life, or pain of being, or pain of mind. So it's very much closer to the Septuagint understanding, whereas the discontented seems like people just complaining, not really having troubles, more just entitled. Okay, leave it at that. Verse 3. God will do to me. So this is David departing there, said to the king of Moab, let, I pray you, my father and my mother be with you, until I know what God will do to me, versus what God will do for me. Okay, a distinction there. It's not that he's doing something for him, it's what will be done to him, what will be the end result. Verse 4, and he persuaded the king, David did, versus he brought them. So he brought his father and mother before him. But here we can see he persuaded the king of Moab that his parents could dwell with the king of Moab for safety reasons. Versus simply here, just have them and then he had to just deal with it. No, he had to be persuaded to be convinced that they could stay there. Can't just drop them off without permission, without the proper, he didn't accept, okay, without his consent. Verse 5, the city of Sarek, that's where David dwelt, the city of Sarek, versus the forest of Hereth. So he lived in a forest? Okay, that's a little strange. Anyway, let's move on. Verse 6, Saul lived in the hill below the field. Okay, so he dwelt in a hill below the field. Not that he lived underground, but that's where it was located, in the hill below the field, versus in Gibeah under a tree. Again, so David lives in a forest in the Masoretic. Saul lives under a tree. In the Septuagint, David lives in a city. Saul lives in a hill. So that could be an abode, a house that is built on the hill or in the hill. Okay, verse 8 says, sorry for me. So this is an expression that Saul uses quite frequently in this narrative. The footnote says labors. Okay, so where is that? Sorry for me. Okay, there's none of you that is sorry for me. The footnote says that labors for me. So it could be either or. I'm not dogmatic about it. In verse 9, we have a significant difference here regarding mules. So Doeg the Syrian, again, he was over the mules. He was taking care of them, versus he was over the servants. So human beings, not animals. This is an important detail. We're going to see that unfold later on in the narrative. In verse 13, we see a continuous difference being displayed here. It says enemy. It uses the term enemy. Saul said to him, why have you, the son of Jesse, conspired to raise him up? So God is raising him up against me as an enemy. Why have you and the son of Jesse? So he's talking to the priest, son of Ahitub. So this is Abimelech, son of Ahitub, who is the priest. And he's saying, you're raising him up against me as an enemy, versus to lie in wait. So one is identifying the relationship between Saul, or at least Saul's perception of David at this time, is as an enemy versus an action that is being done, a strategic action, which is to lie in wait, to ambush him. Verse 14, executor of all your commands. Okay, so this is Ahitub or Ahimelech or Abimelech's response, depending on which translation you use. His name is Abimelech or Ahimelech. And he responds to Saul, describing David as the executor of all your commands versus he goes at your bidding. So one carries out the commands, seems like an official title, versus just somebody who does what you want, like a yes man. Verse 15, by no means versus far be it from me. In verse 18, we have a discrepancy of numbers. There are 305 men wearing an ephod that were killed by Saul by his order. Very horrible atrocity that was committed. Versus 85 priests. So we have a difference of 20 plus 200, 220 additional priests were killed in the Septuagint. Okay, in the footnote of the Alexandrian, it is in linen ephod, so no difference there, really. Verse 22, in regards to the ephod, that is. Significant difference, I am guilty. So Saul admits, David said, I knew in the day that Doeg the Syrian would surely tell Saul. And then David admits, I am guilty of the death of the house of your father. So he's telling this to Abiathar. Okay, and in the Masoretic, it says, I have occasioned. So David seems more responsible. He's taking more, he holds himself more accountable for the deaths. In the Septuagint, versus, oh, this happened, this because of me, but I made this possible. Versus, I am guilty of what? Of the death of the house of your father. Versus, all the persons, and the death was inserted. That's an addition. Okay, and then it says souls. Where's souls? It's supposed to be souls at the footnote. Okay, it says souls or lives for the footnote of death. So I'm guilty of the souls or the lives of the house of your father. That is very weighty. We have our first and only big difference in this chapter. In verse 23, the final verse, it says here, let's read the full verse. Dwell with me, David speaking to Abiathar. Fear not, for wherever I shall seek a place of safety for my life, I will also seek a place for your life. For you are safely guarded while you are with me. We just inserted you are. That's the sense of the verse. So how is this different? Let's read this in the Masoretic. Abide you with me, fear not, for he that seeks my life seeks your life. I'm not as, I don't feel as safety if I was Abiathar. But with me you shall be in safeguard. Okay, how are you going to guarantee that? But in the Septuagint, we can see that clearly David is seeking a safe place. I'm going to seek a place of safety. Not just, somebody who's seeking me. The guy wants to kill me. This scenario one, the Masoretic. The guy wants to kill me. He wants to kill you too. Okay, but we're going to be safe. All right, see, I'm sorry for the dramatic thing, but that's essentially what was said. In the Septuagint, it's like this. It goes like this. I'm going to seek a place of safety for my life, but wherever I am is going to be your place of safety. You're going to be with me, and you're going to be safely guarded. He's got men with him, keep in mind. So how I read this, how I interpret this verse is that King David, or David, is using the golden rule. He's applying the golden rule of treat others as you would treat yourself. So he's saying, whatever I do for myself, I'm going to seek a place of safety. And that same place of safety for me will be the same place of safety for you. And I'm going to guard my life. I'm going to guard your life. What's happening in the Masoretic? He's basically telling him what's already known. He's telling him the obvious, Captain Obvious here, King David. Don't be afraid. Why? Because the one that wants to kill me wants to kill you. But you're going to be safe with me. How are you going to ensure that? In the Septuagint, there's a plan as to how that's done. Number one, the place of safety. And you will be safely guarded with me. So not just David is reassuring him with empty words. You're going to be safe. He's saying you will be safely guarded with me. He's got men. That's what it's alluding to. Okay, so that's all for this chapter. Thank you very much for your time. Until next time, I bid you all Shalom Aleichem, Assalamu Alaikum, Irini Mazisu, Pax Vobiscum, peace be unto you, and Maranatha.